Joining us now is Honorable Oluwatosin Francis Sugar. He is the DG City Boy Movement. For those of you who follow the show, he was here a couple of days ago. Now he's back because something important is happening. The President at 2. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joy.
Yes, it's wonderful to always have you. I mean, you support this President unapologetically in spite of what people may say. Some do not even see his strides. How do you manage that?
Well, so many people have their different ideas about Mr. President, but Mr. President is a president that Nigeria deserves at this particular time to drive Nigeria forward to a better future. And I believe that when you are taking the right step, you have a lot of people that won't believe in your vision.
That's true.
So, but with time, I believe Nigerians will begin to see. Even it's already showing. It's already showing. Nigerians will begin to see, and I'm sure that we are going to galvanize more support for Mr. President.
We're already seeing the support. I mean, there's what the media has termed the gale of defection. It seems like we have so many people defecting to the APC. Why is that? Why do you think people at this moment are picking this moment to defect? Is there something special about this Tinubu at 2?
So, when people see that, when they see things are working, and they can also feel the impact of Mr. President, and they see that the government is getting more popular by the day. So, why sink with a failing ship?
Okay. Why sink in a failing ship?
Yeah.
That reminds me of the conversation, or rather the utterance and statement from the governor, that's the governor of Akwa Ibom State, that referred to his political party, the PDP, as a faulty flight that's not capable of taking anyone to 2027. Is the APC ready to take all the people that are getting into this ship? Won't it sink out of overload?
No.
So there's no such thing?
There's no such thing. As long as people see the impact of Mr. President's initiative and his policies, and they see that Nigeria is moving towards the right direction, it's only wise for someone to quickly join the winning team. So it's best for you to join now before it's too late.
Join now before it's too late. When does it ever get too late for politicians? We've had instances where, I mean, a couple of days to elections, you see somebody says, you know what, I give up for this person. So when is it ever too late?
Well, I don't know when it's too late, but it's better for you
to quickly
now
join.
That you know that the moving train is not going to stop for anybody. So it's better you quickly join the train now.
Okay, that's interesting. Now let's get into the renewed hope agenda of the president. The president has been very, I mean, even before he emerged president, during his elections, he was all about the renewed hope agenda, which has about 8 policy trusts, talking about economy, education, food security, that's agriculture rather, and so many other very noble plans. Before we get into each, would you say he has done well?
So let me take you back on the history of Nigeria.
Okay, that's interesting.
We're coming from a Nigeria that had a very high rate of unemployment and high rate of poverty, and the people at the grassroots were very, very far away from the government. Remember, in the last government administration was trying to put the economy back in the right path, and the then Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, she advised, she said that Nigeria did not save at the rainy day. And you also remember that it's only when we have increase in oil prices, that's when we have economic development or economic growth.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So Mr. President inherited a very weak economy, an economy that was at the bridge of falling. And when he came on board, he looked, what can I do in a different way? And this man took a bold decision to remove the fuel subsidy. You remember that a lot of governments have tried to remove fuel subsidy, but they didn't succeed.
Why not?
Because they were scared of the agitation of the people.
Right.
You remember sometimes 2 governments ago, government of President Jonathan, tried to remove subsidy, and you saw the way Nigerians came out.
It wasn't just Nigerians. The current president also joined Nigerians at the time.
Yes, because Nigerians, he's also a Nigerian too.
What I'm saying is that for him, he boldly removed fuel subsidy from day one, but Nigerians also remember that he was instrumental to opposing that agenda at the beginning when Jonathan wanted to implement it.
All Nigerians, all of us believe that if we remove the subsidy, we're going to create more problem in the economy.
At that time,
so people believe that. So and imagine you paying for subsidy, and at the same time you have a drop in crude oil prices, and you see how choke the economy will be. So this president came on board and look at what is the problem. How can we move forward from here? So we must be able to take bold steps. Absolutely. And on day one, the man sacrificed his popularity for removing fuel subsidy.
But knowing what you know now and the attendant economic challenges we all have faced as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy, would you say he shouldn't have done it on day one?
See, let me first take you on the economy, and you will see that decision for removing fuel subsidy has put Nigeria on the right path. So Nigeria had high rates of unemployment and poverty for over 2 decades. And remember, in history of Nigeria, it was President Olusegun Obasanjo that came on board, and 8 years after his administration was when he was able to pay our debt when he was leaving office. Mr. President removed subsidy. He was able to allocate more money to states. States were receiving 3 times of the funds they were receiving before the removal of the subsidy. And Mr. President was also able to pay the IMF loan, which is a very, very great economic indicator. So the foreigners now have more confidence in Nigeria as a country. Nigeria was ranked the fastest growing economy by IMF. That is a very, very great giant step and a very, very great improvement in our economic development. So looking at that, you see that Nigeria is on the right path to greatness. So if we also look at other sectors, you look at, for example, our infrastructural development, for example, infrastructure development, 449 road network ongoing simultaneously across all the geopolitical zones in Nigeria at the same time. And you also look at the concept of the Lagos-Calabar coastal road, the kind of development is going to bring across that coastal line, where we have a lot of development even along the road. And
definitely infrastructures like that always attract an economic boom. I mean, products and services will be seamless, but we're talking about human capital development. Where are we? Would you say that Nigerians are better off? I mean, all of us saw the rot in the fuel subsidy. A lot of us even supported the president's removal of fuel subsidy, but there's attendant economic challenges at the moment. So how would you marry that, where Nigerians are groaning? Now, your administration, the president keeps telling us that it's a teething season, it's a pregnancy period, you would give birth and you will be relieved. We've heard all sorts of idioms just to assure Nigerians and relieve Nigerians. However, it is what it is. Nigerians are buying a bag of rice now over 100,000 naira.
So it's very painful that we're going through this very painful time as a country, where we pay more for living. Cost of living has gone up has gone very high.
Right.
So, but you must understand that if you don't build the foundation, there is nowhere the structure is going to stand upon. So Mr. President is rebuilding the Nigerian's foundation. So right now, it might be very painful. For example, you have a pain. If you don't peel the pain, if you don't clean it, it will not heal.
Exactly.
So we're in an healing process. So if you also look at Mr. President's policies on tax, he has been directed towards improving the life of small-scale businesses, and also look at his policies on the procurement law, Nigeria First, where he also directed that local produced goods should be prioritized before foreign goods.
Absolutely.
So looking at also those policies, the president understands that the people are going through a lot, but we need to rebuild. It's time to rebuild. It's time to put north and both together.
Right.
So we must all be patient. This problem started years back. It didn't start 2 years ago.
But then again, that's what we keep hearing. We hear the president, when President Buhari was in government, he tells you, oh, this problem came way before I came, and so be patient. And the patience is going and going. Everybody comes and wants us to be patient and all of that. But do you think if the President Tinubu, in this midterm assessment, knowing what you know, and what's going on right now, if he went back to do an election today, now and here, would he still garner the votes that he did during the 2023 elections?
I assure you that Mr. President contesting election tomorrow is going to come out as a winner of that election. Because let me tell you one thing. This problem has been there for a long time. A lot of presidents have come, they've tried to solve it, but it was never solved. And I also gave you an instance. People are watching. People are looking at, okay, who really has the interest of Nigeria at heart. Right. If a man can come on board and give states more money from what they've been receiving before then, so that man is a man that you can put Nigeria in his hands and go to sleep.
A lot of Nigerians do not applaud or commend him for that action because they do not trust their state governors. What has the impact been by increasing the FAC allocation to governors?
So now you must understand that problems are not solved in a day, but at least you have taken the right step. You have given governors more money.
Right.
And as time goes on, as competition arises in electing leaders in state level, then people will start to look at, okay, who is competent to sit as a governor of that state? Who is going to protect our interests? Then that is when the vote of the people will count at the state level. So you cannot vote someone that will not develop your state. You cannot vote someone that will not impact you at your state. So that is what's going to happen in the long run. So if some governors are not utilizing that fund for development in their state, it's going to tell of them in time, because we will now look at you that, so we can't trust you with our resources. No. Then we'll vote you out of office. So eventually that is what is going to happen. And if you also see that Mr. President has given the local government autonomy, he has taken the government to the grassroots, the government to meet people at the grassroots.
Right.
So it is in time we are going to see that that promised land that we are going to. So some of these decisions and policies that Mr. President is taking right now, he understands what is going on. But Rome was not built in a day. It was built over time. So let us give Mr. President time. At least the journey is still short. It's just 2 years in office, and we have had great achievement in different sectors of the economy.
Okay, so let's still talking about the economy. We're talking about forex at the moment. I mean, the naira collapsed really badly at this moment. It's at 1,000, almost 600, 1,500 and almost 600 actually, from 700 when he got into power. That has also affected several businesses and cost of livelihood for several individuals. So how do you think Nigerians perceive this in this midterm assessment? So
Mr. President floating the forex took the wrong decision, because Nigeria as a country was subsidizing the foreign exchange, and we didn't. Did
you say took the wrong decision?
It took the right decision.
Right decision.
Yes, right decision.
I thought as much, because it would be tough to hear you say
it took the right decision.
President took a wrong decision.
Took the right decision. So I think so dollar was being subsidized.
Okay.
For what was being subsidized, but now we have the true value of the dollar to determine its price. So what we need to do now is we should encourage more of local production. So the more we export goods and services to other countries, the more the naira grows against the naira, against the dollar. So if you also look at some of the initiatives of Mr. President, for example, now the Nigeria First initiative to patronize locally produced goods. So if you also look at other sectors too, Mr. President have been creating policies that will encourage goods and services to be produced locally, whereby we can export to other countries and increase our dollar reserve. So as part of this, as our solution to these two, you saw the foreign reserve grew at a rate of 400%, from 2-point-something billion to almost 27.9 billion.
Exactly.
So those are some of those
successes
of this government that is going to make sure that Naira, in the long run, when there is competition, is going to fall. It's going to catch up with the dollar. So
that would have been that. I mean, I'm not an economist, but that would have been celebrated if we are recording simultaneously productivity, which also has dwindled because of the surging rate of unemployment. We also have in the agricultural sector instances of insecurity. In the manufacturing sector, these several levies, they have complained over and over again, and that the lack of sustainable energy and levies is affecting all of this. Would you say that if you have, I always ask you this, I know, you have a staircase conversation with the president, say he's passing and you have a minute with him. I know you people have a longer time together, but if you have a quick time to have a conversation, knowing what you know, what would be your conversation addressing these issues I just mentioned? Business environment being favorable, so that productivity would enhance this sale of or exchange of our goods and services, which will in turn strengthen our naira over the dollar and other foreign currencies.
So if you look at some of the policies that government have been taking of recent, especially on tax, to help reduce tax burden on small businesses, he is also looking at he has also looked at a situation whereby local manufacturers take up most of the procurement that were done by foreigners. You understand me? So in doing some of those initiatives and policies, I believe that with time, the private sector is going to balance, because every developed country is run by the private sector, not government.
Absolutely.
Government is only supposed to develop policies that will allow businesses enable environment to thrive. So in the long run, let us be patient. We will see a great result. We have solved the macroeconomic problem to an extent by the payment of the loan. So a lot of foreign investment now have confidence in Nigeria. So I believe a lot of investors will come in now to establish their business and see, because Nigeria has become one of the fastest growing economy of recent, as mentioned by the IMF. So let's see what's going to happen in the next 6 months. Let's us be patient and watch what's going to happen. And I believe that Nigeria is going to have a great economic development in the next months to come.
Okay. Well, one of the other reasons why Nigerians are groaning is insecurity. Unfortunately, in spite of the security apparatus in Nigeria, as enhanced as it is, I remember when we saw the budget for security, all of us celebrated that it had an increased percentage. I can't remember it right at the moment, but it had a better chance to fight insecurity. But it seems like we are recording more attacks, especially communal. I don't know if our architecture is not structured well for the dynamism of the challenges we face. What happens in the west isn't what happens in the southeast. What happens in the southeast is not what's happening in the northeast, and so we are recording more. It's affecting farmers in the agricultural sector, and it's causing the inflation that we're seeing, the food hike in prices. So in the security sector, a lot of people have said, sack all the service chiefs and get us new ones. Let's see if they have more vigor. But what would you say about that?
So if you watch Mr. President of late, he had a meeting with security chiefs.
charge them,
and he has been putting measures by procuring more arms, more for the police, for the Nigerian Army, and Nigerian Navy. And in doing that, Mr. President has also signed approved the forest guard that understand different communities to go into,
especially in the ungoverned areas of Nigeria.
Communities. So I believe that with time, the people will be identified. People that cause problems in such communities will be identified and taken out. Recently, in the 13,500 terrorists were disarmed by the government in less than 3 months. So Mr. President is trying his best, and I'm sure that the army chiefs are also trying their best. So it's also left for us in communities to be able to communicate back to government in time, so that government can take decisive steps to curb some of these activities in our communities.
I mean, none of us are security experts, but when we look at these issues and we read about people who are unable to even share information for fear that there could be reprisal from these terrorists. We read about instances in some communities in Nigeria where farmers are forced to pay taxes to bandits so that they could be allowed to farm. That's the most unfathomable thing that can happen to a beautiful country like ours, with arable land, with so much potentials and possibilities. We have instances as well where people are telling you that it's not that we don't know these guys, we know them, and that we finger even law enforcement, those who are supposed to protect us in all that. You have been here telling us to be patient. The president has everything under control and all that. We also record several instances in Benue State, for instance, the occurrence of header clash and attacks on communities that is making people lose life is beginning to be normal to us, but we're recording our brothers and sisters die every day. You know, how would you communicate this to some of the people who you will meet on the streets, who you are trying to tell them, oh, the president has this under control, but they have lost someone?
Well, as I said the other time, the president has approved that we have forest guard now,
right? Which
just happened. So, and I believe that those guards are going to be community people that also understand their community. So now they have a sense of security. They have been charged with a responsibility to protect their communities. And I'm sure that Nigerian police force would have been working to synergize with the setting up of the forest guard. So the reporting system that they've been using before, I think, is going to improve. Because why the fear was there was because there was no synergy between the local authorities and the police. So I believe taking that step, let us see what's going to happen in the next few months. Let's see how those communities are going to be defended by the inauguration of these forest guards. So let's also be patient on that. I'm sure that the forces, the Nigerian Army, and also all other paramilitary forces are also developing strategies to deploy to such communities.
We still have so much to discuss, but we're going for a very short break right now. And when we return, we will still be talking about the education sector. There's so much to discuss there, access to businesses, and so much more. Still just here live, where we've been discussing the midterm assessment of President Tinubu. It's been an interesting conversation here with the DG City Boy movement. He is Honorable Oluwatosin Francis Sugar, a regular here on the show. Again, I thank you so much for coming and giving us this very important tips, because it seems like some Nigerians don't even know what's been going on in the country. What's it called now? Would I say policy trust or achievement of this government, or footprint, as a lot of people have called it. It's only when I remember something that the Ministry of Information and National Orientation shared, that a lot of people say, 900,000 beneficiaries. So how have you been managing people who do not believe that the president has indeed worked so hard?
So the problem that we have with young people in Nigeria is they don't read about what government is really doing. People just hear that, oh, there is problem.
But should they read a bit to just reach them?
Yeah,
it's just like saying that your father in the house has brought in bread, but because you didn't read about the bread, you won't have a piece.
So, for example, let me speak about some initiatives that are advertised for people to put in for those opportunities.
Okay.
So, if you don't study about such opportunities, how do you know about them? If you don't study about them, you won't have opportunity to participate in such opportunities. So, let us read up different policies of government. Let's read up different acts of government. Then we'll have more information about how due process work, about processes on different things operate in government.
Okay, so back to analyzing each of those agendas of the renewed hope component of his government. Let's go to education. We have been celebrating the millions of that has gone into the NEL fund, that's the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. But do you think it's a sustainable initiative? Nigerians have criticized that move, saying that it may not be sustainable. One, because Nigerians are largely, you cannot catch them. Is it catch I will use? It's difficult to reach them and get the monies back, which is supposed to be recycled. If you are not recycling those funds, then how would you keep it sustainable? Secondly, the fear also is that we already are recording, unfortunately, 40% unemployment, and these are individuals who are supposed to pay. Some of them, a lot of people still do not have employment several years after they are done from school. So how would this payment happen? So, and other criticism and maybe concerns for some. What would be your thoughts on that?
So, Joy, you can't say that because of consequences or problems that might arise in taking a decision that is going to solve a problem, you will not take that decision. So I believe that with time, IT will play a role in putting together the NEL Fund initiative. So the gaps are going to be identified, and I'm sure that those holes are going to be blocked by whosoever is managing the process. For example, in foreign countries and other countries, government support education. You can't say that because of the fear of people not repaying those loans, we are not going to implement such policies.
Of course not.
So we must implement and I believe if there are such gaps in the system that is running the NEL Fund program, they are going to be blocked with time. And I believe, as I said the other time, the world is a world of IT now. Things are revolving. You can't say that, for example, the fear of putting your money in the bank and say that you are not going to get money exactly. You are not going to put money in the bank. So let us see the impact and the positive side of such initiatives. For example, over 400,000 students have benefited from that, which is a good scorecard. And the good thing is that they are paying back to the schools, to those universities. So that those universities are also going to be generating funds. They are going to be self-sufficient. And if you look at Mr. President's policy on education, you understand how to resolve this problem very well. Remember the last administration, we had a very, very tough time with ASU. We're struggling with ASU, like for example, I spent a longer time in school just because of ASU strike. So
like the rest of us.
Yes. So
all of us actually had to spend longer times in school because of ASU. And I'm happy you brought that up. If there's something we celebrate this government for, is not recording those in-season ASU strikes that we were before he came into power. So that's something we commend him for. But lack of war is not necessary presence of peace, like they often say. Is that what's going on with the ASU? Because we also hear them bicker all the time about allowances here and there. I know he has promised to clear some, and I remember ASU coming up to also say that we will not celebrate the 5 billion the president has promised until we see it in our account.
So for the government to have run for 2 years without ASU strike, I think we should deserve an applaud. So it's a government that you should applaud. So, and I believe
I'm agreeing with your applause here.
Yeah. So
for the first time since we started this interview, we are on the same page. I am agreeing with this applause right here. But I'm just saying that again, is it a sustainable? Is it have they established a sustainable plan and agreement such that both parties benefit, there are no strikes moving forward, and everyone is happy?
So for there to be peace, you see, Mr. President is a visionary leader, and is a leader that understands how to manage people. I'm sure Mr. President has listened to ASU. He has also given the right solution to their problem for us not to have problems with ASU for 2 years. So we can see.
Or he's just the Jagaban and everyone is afraid to go against Jagaban. Is that what's happening? Is that what's happening?
Mr. President is not an intimidator.
I don't know that. I'm asking, is he a Jagaban and nobody wants to go against?
He doesn't intimidate people.
Okay.
Mr. President
if you say so.
Understand how to lead, and I'm sure that this symbiotic relationship between ASU and the government now will have a great impact on Nigerian education system. So let us also applaud Mr. President one more time.
Right. Unfortunately, still speaking about the NEL fund, and there was also the accusation of schools not remitting and students claiming that, or rather complaining that their names were out having collected something they never collected in books. That means that something is not right with these institutions. How is the president ensuring that there is transparency? Because if there is no trust between these students or the guardians and parents, there's going to be issues moving forward. And how are you confident that whatever is in place would ensure that institutions do not shortchange students?
So I believe Mr. President has appointed a competent person to head NEL fund. And when programs like that start, there are problems that comes with it. So I'm sure the person in charge of NEL fund will be able to manage such complaints. If there is any such complaint that you have just said now, it's going to be managed by the competent person that is heading that agency. And I believe that let us look at the reason behind that initiative,
right,
and let us applaud it. Any other problem that comes with it will be addressed, because there is a process that might have been established for you to be in that process, for you to benefit from such initiative. So sometimes people don't follow process, they don't understand, so they now complain on being shortchanged on that particular initiative. So let us be patient. Let us see the kind of initiatives and the kind of problem solving initiative that the person that is heading for NEL fund will bring into solving such problems.
Okay. So unfortunately, we still have, like we had established earlier, some people who are still skeptical about this president because of the attendant economic challenges they face. But if there's one policy of this government that you feel like the president in time will be vindicated, what would it be? Looking, I mean, in future, what do you think one policy of government that the president would further look for, and Nigerians would look back and say, that was a good one he did, in spite of how painful it was?
The removal of subsidy.
The removal of fuel subsidy. Okay.
Yes. The allocation to state, I told you that time, has increased by 300%. So,
and like I also told you that time, Nigerians still do not see impact if you are celebrating the state increase in allocation, and Nigerians seeing the impact of
this problem that was solved. You don't understand the origin of the problem.
Okay.
Since the history of Nigeria, past governments have been trying to remove this subsidy. They have never been successful about it because they did not really understand how the mathematics of economy works. There was fear that if subsidy should leave Nigeria, there's going to be war, there's going to be abject poverty.
Oh yes, because the likes of the Mr. President were drumming hard on anybody who wanted to remove
subsidy. After removing the subsidy, we are hearing success stories of loans being repaid. That is a great success. In fact, I don't know.
And more loans
everybody that is still out of the system.
For.
It's better for the people to come and join now because
Honorable Sugar, simultaneously, this government is also requesting for more loans, and which is very concerning when you look at how much accumulatively we may be in trillions. We may be owing in trillions of dollars as well. So while we celebrate from one end the loan servicing that we're doing and how much Nigeria has paid back in loans, we also read today that the president is requesting for more loans. So how do you marry that? And are there ways we can improve revenue in Nigeria so that we do not keep requesting and asking for loans to fund the renewed hope agenda?
So there is no, even small businesses are funded with loan. Talk less of the old Nigeria. Nigeria.
The concept of loan is not bad.
Yes, but
nobody is criticizing the concept of
you are forgetting
applying
that
for loans. But are we being irresponsible with it?
An avenue to repay those loans. Those monies we are using to pay subsidy, they are going to easily repay those. If he has paid one loan of IMF, then why are you now complaining about the one they are borrowing now? It shows that they understand what they are doing. The Mr. President is a transparent president, and he knows and has created more resources for the country to thrive. So don't bother yourself about the loan. The loans are going to be repaid.
I am bothered. You know how Nigerians have been ongoing about if we have to share among ourselves how much we are to pay. I think each person is owing as much as 600,000 naira. I'm just imagining myself, poor me that has not done anything, being owing maybe China, IMF or World Bank 600,000 naira. But that's just by the way. So what would you say moving forward? These next 2 years will be, we're running out of time. So these next 2 years, what should Nigerians expect?
So Mr. President is focusing on capital development of Nigeria. He's focusing on moving Nigeria to the right direction. He's focusing on creating employment for young people, because the fundamental problem of young people and fundamental problem of Nigeria is unemployment. A lot of our young people are not employed. They don't have anything they are doing. So Mr. President is focusing on creating an economy that can create jobs and sustain employment for people. And when employment is created, there is going to be capital development.
Right.
When we have capital development, Nigeria is going to get to that desired promised land that we're going to.
Okay.
So Mr. President understands that poverty and unemployment are enemies of a great nation. So these policies of Mr. President in the long run will give businesses a leveling playing ground to grow and absorb more people into their systems to reduce unemployment. If you look at what he did today on the technical schools, now technical students are being paid 45,000
we read that.
So in Nigeria, we only focus on university graduates. We are also forgetting that our technical schools has a lot of impact on our economy.
Right.
If we create more jobs, more informal jobs, we solve a lot of problems. We solve the problem of insecurity too.
Absolutely. So the informal sector gives is the highest in employment, and I'm happy that there's concentration on that. But paying them 45,000 naira, again, how sustainable is it? I am not one to applaud this kind of initiatives, because I feel like those monies could have been put into more sustainable initiatives that will go round. But then again, that's just me. And Honorable Sugar, we really have run out of time. I have to thank you again for your contributions tonight. We've navigated hard truths, triumphs of this government. We've also had good conversations and highlighted some of the things that the president has been doing, projecting the what's it called now?
Renewed
Hope. My village people will say Mboku Yarison, to project the renewed hope agenda. This is Joy Asanye Live. Thank you so much for watching this evening. It's been a wonderful conversation with Honorable Oluwatosin Francis Shoga, the DG City Boy movement. But this is where we end today's conversation. Rest assured, we'll be back tomorrow Friday to have more. So as we celebrate the midterm assessment and celebrate this president for these 2 years, try to do your best to be the best that you can as a Nigerian. Give your part. If everyone's home is cleaned, if everyone sweeps the front of their homes, the whole country will be clean. Have a wonderful, restful evening.